so today we're going to talk about quick full menus. And so if you will turn to page 56 in your textbook, we can take a look at that.
56?
Yes, 56.
Okay. Got it.
All right, so if you look there, it kind of shows you what those menus look like. And now I'm going to show you how to access those on your Teach pendant and why there are quick and full menus both. So if you pick up your Teach pendant and find your function key.
Function. Got it.
All right, click function. And then at the bottom you'll see next or 0. Go ahead and click next.
Okay.
And look up at the top, it says quick full menus.
Okay. Click next, that's 0.
So if you go ahead and click on that quick full menus, and then go down to menu, and that brings up quick 1. And if you click,
View history. Nope, that didn't work for me. I guess I have to do previous to get back up. Type. Nope. Let me do it again. 0. Quick full menus, number 1. Okay, I'm with you now to tree view.
okay, so do you have quick 1 brought up?
I do not.
Okay, let me come see what your Teach pendant looks like.
Sure. So we go back to function. So we go down to the next, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that would be 0. And
Okay,
then
up at the top there,
number
click quick full menus.
That's number 1.
Okay, now if you hit menu,
Now I hit menu. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
okay, now you're in quick 1. You're right where I'm at.
Ah, I gotcha.
All right, very good.
Good.
All right, so if you go down to the bottom of that screen, and you see next again, click next. Now that brings up quick 2. And here you can really see you're missing some stuff. You're missing number 4 and 6 and 9. And the reason that is, these are like a condensed version of the full menus.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times the reason they do this is for a couple of reasons. One, it weeds out a lot of stuff you don't necessarily need on a day-to-day basis. You know, kind of thins it out, makes it simpler and quicker to find what you need. Another reason for this is it's kind of good for the programmer himself. He wants to keep you in quick menus so you don't get into his full menus and make some adjustments to different parameters.
Mess things up.
Exactly, mess things up.
That makes sense.
So we have quick and full menus for that reason. One, it's just faster, and it's also keeps you from getting yourself into trouble and getting into trouble with your head programmer. So if you go back down, and we'll go back over to function again, click function. We'll go through the same process, click next at the bottom, and then go back up to quick full, and then go down to menu. Now you will see that menu 1 comes up, and that's a full menu. It's missing number 8, but it's pretty much a full menu.
Gotcha.
And if you look to the right there where it says utilities, and there's another drop down,
Yeah.
you have a lot of options there.
Those weren't there a minute.
They weren't there a minute ago.
Gotcha.
You have a lot of stuff there that could get you into trouble if you're not familiar with what you're doing.
Excellent.
So, and then if you go down and click next at the bottom, you will get menu 2, and there's even more options to choose from.
Yep.
And now like that 4, 6, and 4 and 6 are filled in, which weren't there before. So that's kind of why we have quick and full menus.
Gotcha.
And one of the ways that they will set that up so that it'll keep the operator from getting into the quick full menus, or the quick menus, or the full menus rather, is password protection. If it's password protected, it will automatically boot up in quick menus and not give you access to the full menus.
That makes sense too.
Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to talk about with quick full menus for now.
Excellent.
So if you want to jump over to page 66 in your textbook, we'll get into the main meat and potatoes of today's discussion, which is going to be jogging the robot.
Gotcha.
All right, let me clear my screen here. All right, so before we really talk about jogging the robot too much, we need to talk about how you can control your speed of the robot, because that's important. You know, you don't want to just take off at 100% when you don't know exactly where it's headed. So there's a couple ways we can change the speed values of the robot. There's a slow way and a fast way.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the slow way where we can increment it slowly. So if you look up in the top right-hand corner of your screen, if you look where my mouse is up there, it says 100%.
I see that.
And that's 100% of the maximum speed of this particular robot.
All right.
Whatever it may be, on different robots have different max speeds. This one, I'm not sure what the max speed is. I want to say, I'm not sure, but I'm not going to say if I don't know for sure.
There you go.
but I will research that and get you an answer on it.
Mhm.
So that's 100% of the max speed of the robot. So if we wanted to adjust that, if you go down to the bottom of your teach pen, you'll see an up and down arrow key with a percentage symbol.
Got it.
And if you go ahead and click that down arrow one time, go ahead and keep click it a couple times.
Yeah,
How
we're now
much?
at 5%.
5% of the time. So you notice that's, it's a way to adjust your speed, but it's kind of slow. If you click that all the way down, keep going down till you hit 5. Okay, once you get to 5, now start clicking down again one at a time.
Oh, single percent.
Exactly, it changes 1% at a time until we get down to fine and very fine. And when you get to fine and very fine, you're talking about very precise movements. Just it's moving a little tiny bit. You almost can't even see it move if you look at the actual robot when it's jogging like that. And the reason they have that is just for precision and accuracy. That way you can really hone in on what you're doing and just get as precise as possible when maybe you're setting up a tool center point or just doing a touch off. So go ahead and cursor that all the way back up to 100%.
That's a lot of pushing.
Yeah, it's a lot of pushing. But once we get there, so now we're at 100%, I'm going to show you a quick way that we can go through these. So if you press and hold your shift key, on mine I just press it and it stays lit, but if you go ahead and press and hold your shift, now click down one time, your down percentage.
Oh, that's cool.
What's that do?
They went to 50.
Exactly, it dropped all the way to 50. If you click it again, it goes to 5,
Down to 5.
1, and then you got fine and very fine again.
Look at
So you can see that's a major advantage. It gets you through your speeds a lot quicker.
That's a lot
It
quicker.
really jumps
Absolutely.
through. And that's an advantage, because once you're comfortable with the robot and you know what you're doing, you know it's going to operate properly, you want to accelerate that thing up really quick, or in maybe a dangerous situation, you want to decelerate it really quick to sneak up on something. Then you have that access with your shift key to do that.
That is nice. It's very quick.
Yeah, I like that feature a lot. So that's how we can adjust our speeds 2 different ways. So now that we've talked about that a little bit, I want to talk about actually jogging the robot. We're talk about coordinate systems. There are 5 different coordinate systems, and these define how the robot will move. And today we're going to focus on 2. We're going to focus on joint and whirl jogging the robot. So if you will turn in your textbook over to page 68. The first type of jogging we're going to look at is joint jogging. And this is considered to be the most efficient method of jogging the robot. And the reason that is because it does not, the processor doesn't have to calculate a linear toolpath and follow a certain line. The robot's going to move in an arc motion, and it simply has to engage a servo motor and keep track of that with an encoder, and it's going to keep track of that in degrees of rotation. So it's thinking, but it's not trying to keep multiple axes moving at one time to maintain a certain plane. And we'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about whirl jogging.
Sure.
But for now, we'll just talk about joint, and like I said, it's just a very efficient way of moving the robot. Our particular robot has 6 different axes. We have axis number 1, which would be the waist. Axis number 2 is the shoulder. Axis 3 is the elbow. Axis 4 is the arm. Axis 5 is the wrist. And axis 6 is the hand. You can move each one of these individually or simultaneously by holding multiple jog keys at the same time. And if you look on your teach pen in there, you can see we have, there's the top, let's say the top 12 jog keys. If you look on the left-hand column, you've got joint 1, it goes all the way from joint 1 down through joint 8, but we're going to look at just joint 1 through joint 6. Each one of those has a positive and a negative. Those are to control those joints we just talked about, the ones that I labeled, joint 1 through 6. That's how we jog those. So really, that's all I wanted to cover on joint for now. Kind of understand a little bit about how they work. We know what they are, how they rotate. They travel in arc motions. They can be controlled, singularly or multiple at a time. So let's go ahead and move over for now. Move over to whirl jogging.
It's like it's on the next page.
Yes, page 69. I'm sorry. Okay, whirl jogging is a little different. It follows a tool. It follows the Cartesian frame. Probably when you were in elementary school, your teachers taught you about the Cartesian frame, how that works. That is your X, Y, Z graphing system, basically. That's, you probably did a lot of graphing in school with just the X and the Y on paper. She might give you two values. You would move over, say, 100 in your X and up 50 in your Y and find that point. This is the same concept. And that's kind of the Cartesian frame is how the robot follows. The tool center point will follow those lines in a linear path. The robot has a predefined origin that comes from the factory set, and that is located at the center of joint 1 perpendicular at the intersection of joint 2. And there's a diagram of that on page 69. If you look, you can see where the intersection is, and that is the origin of your robot. That is basically your home position. That is your 0, 0. All points are relative to that point. Wherever your tool center point is once established, once you establish a tool center point, it's going to be relative to that origin. And another way, too, that will help you really understand how this works is, are you familiar with the right-hand rule?
I don't remember something about it.
Okay. The right-hand rule basically gives us our X, Y, Z coordinate system. So if you hold out your right hand like this, and it's pointing directly away from your body, so you have your X-axis pointing away from you, X positive. Then you have your X negative would be the opposite direction coming back towards you. Then you have your Y positive going to your left, and then Y positive going to your right. And then your Z is up, positive Z, and then negative Z is down. So, and this is all relative to the back of the robot where your cables and stuff come into the robot. So always remember, like, this is oriented when you're in world. This can change when we get into other different jog methods later. But in world, it's going to be relative to the back of the robot where the cables come in. So if you get confused, just stand behind the robot and put your hand out like this. And remember, you've got X positive, Y positive, Z positive, and then you've got the inverse going the other direction. So that's how that works. Let's turn over to page 70 now. Page 70 shows the 6 major axis keys on your teacher printer. And that's going to be how you can jog the robot with your major axes that will follow your X, Y, and Z coordinate system. And we just kind of covered, how that works, what direction they're going to go. So those are going to be your 6 major axis keys that you're going to want to use for jogging. And we're going to try that out in a little bit on the actual robot. So for now, just kind of remember where they are and what they do. That's going to be your X positive, Y positive, Z positive, and then the negatives of all those. If you look at page 71, this is where it's kind of interesting. We get into our world minor axes. And that's going to be the next 6 keys below those two. That's your minor axes, and the way they operate are completely different. You with me so far?
I am so far.
All right, perfect. So the way that works is we talked about relative to where I'm sitting right now, my X-axis goes in and out from me. And my Y-axis will go left and right, and my Z is up and down. So if we look at our tool center point and it comes down to the workpiece, and we wanted to jog in world minor X, what it does is it rotates about the X-axis. Now our X is going in and out this way, so it's going to rotate about the X-axis like this, and it's going to maintain that tool center point right on that point you have it set on. It's going to jog around it once the tool center point is calibrated. Now if we look at the world minor Y-axis, it's going to rotate about the Y-axis, just like this, front to back.
Gotcha.
So then if we look at Z minor, it's going to roll about the Z-axis. And since I mentioned roll, that brings me to a good point. These are known as yaw, pitch, and roll. And that's what it's doing in your X. When you do your X-axis, that's the yaw. And it's my understanding that this goes back to aviation rules. That's where in aviation, they talk about yaw, pitch, and roll. And that's not really my wheelhouse, but I understand that's kind of where this originates from. So that's the minor axis keys and how they operate. So if we turn over to page 72, we're going to get into our first procedure, 6.4. All right, so now I'd like to have you actually do a little bit of jogging here in Handling Pro, and we're going to do joint jogging first.
Excellent.
So the way you do that is you get out and find your coordinate key. It's right next to your jog keys.
Got it?
Okay, if you find coordinate, click on coordinate, and then look up in your top right-hand corner, and you can see below where your speed rates are at.
Yep.
You will see different options. You got user, joint, jog frame, world, tool. Okay, Okay, let's go ahead and click on that until we hit joint. Once
Joint.
you get into joint, leave it there.
Okay.
Okay. And as we've talked about previously, with your dead man switch,
Mhm.
in order to jog, you have to have that dead man in which position?
I think you said the center position,
Yes,
right?
you have 3 positions
Yeah.
on your dead man, and it will only allow you to jog it in the
Yes.
center position. So go ahead and you press your dead man to the
Got
center
it.
position, and we're in joint jog now.
Mm-hmm.
And hold in your shift button.
Mm-hmm.
And now choose an axis that you want to jog in joint. If you want to jog in joint 1, and I'm clear down here, very fine. So you remember how to change your speed, right?
Well, I do.
Okay, so go ahead and bump that up to say 20%.
20%?
Yeah, 20%. would be
Okay.
good. That's relatively slow still.
I still have an error at the top, too. Is there something else I need to do?
You will probably have to hit your reset key.
Oh, that got rid of it.
Okay,
Good.
so your error's gone now?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I've got mine at 20%. You at 20%?
I'm at 20%.
Perfect. So with your dead man in the center position,
Mhm.
when you hold down the shift key, go ahead and select joint 1 and jog your robot.
There it goes.
Yeah, you see it's moving the waist.
Mm-hmm.
If you jog back the other direction, you can see it goes back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now switch over and do joint 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
Pretty cool, huh?
That's pretty neat.
All right, so I mean, we could do this with all 6 if you wanted, or we could, whenever you feel comfortable, if you feel like you've kind of got the concept of how that works, if you want to mess with it a little bit and jog it.
Pretty nice. Can we do this in World, too?
Yes, we can. And all we have to do to get there is just simply, I'm going to take my shift button off here
Okay.
and let your dead man and everything out.
Mhm.
And if you go back to your coordinate key,
Mhm.
click coordinate, and go over till you find world at the top right.
Gotcha.
And once you get into world, it defaults to 10%. You see that? It went back to 10%.
I see that, yeah.
It automatically defaults to 10%.
I want it faster.
You want to go a little faster?
Yeah, I want to go like
Yep.
100.
We want to do 100. Okay, let's hold in our shift button again. This is our shortcut we talked
Mhm.
about. So you hold down shift,
Yep.
and we can bump it up and jump to 50, then 100.
Got it. That's where I'm at.
All right, so we're ready to cruise now.
Really?
So just
Oh,
to,
wow.
just to test you, from what we talked about, if we wanted to jog in X,
Mhm.
now we're in world, how do you think the robot will behave in world coordinate X?
I believe because of the right-hand rule, wouldn't it move in and out?
Yes, it
from-
will. Yes, and if we do an X positive, it's going to go,
Should go out.
yes,
Let's
away,
try that.
away from the robot.
Ah, that worked. The X negative go the other way then.
Yes, negative will bring it right back in toward the robot. And
So
if
let's
you
see,
do-
the right-hand rule then, Y positive should move it to, I'm going to change my view here. Y positive should move it to the left then, right?
Exactly.
Let's see. Look at that. And negative, and then Z, if I change my view, should be like a drill bit. It should go like up and down.
Yes. Which
Positive would be up.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Oh, look at that. Nice. Nice.
All right, so yeah, now we know a little bit about how to change our speeds, a couple of different ways,
Excellent.
like the fast way and the slower way, and how to jog the robot in joint and world, and how they behave differently, very differently.
Yeah, that is definitely different.
Yeah.
I want to do it on the real robot now.
You want to do that? Okay,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and do the real robot
Let's
now.
do that.
All right, so now we're going to actually get our hands on the teach pendant and jog the physical robot.
Nice.
So if you want to go in and we'll do a little bit of joint jogging first. So if you want to, you remember how to get to joint
I think
jogging?
Joy, is that that chord key?
Yeah, hit the coordinate key. and
Right.
go Up in your right hand corner, you can kind of
There it
toggle
goes.
through your different
World,
options.
tool, user, joint. There we
Okay,
are,
perfect.
joint. Good.
Now remember, see how it defaulted to 10%?
I see that. I don't like that.
Yeah, how fast would you like to
I want to go 100.
Well, I don't know. You're kind of new at this, so maybe let's do 50.
50?
How do we get to 50?
Well, I
quickly?
think I got to do this dead man with reset. I remember that.
Yeah.
Then we hit
wanna-
shift, right? Shouldn't
Yeah.
shift get me there? It did, right to
Yep,
50.
one click and you're right there.
Nice. So I go ahead and jog now?
Yeah, so remember the
Oh.
dead man, and then
Yep.
shift,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're ready to jog.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you see we have a laser pointer there to kind of show you where you're going.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So it looks like that's moving as an arc, isn't
It's
it?
exactly an arc. That's exactly what it's
Wow,
doing.
look at that. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. And then, of course, the other, I can do the other joints too, right?
Exactly. All
Bring
six
that
of
up,
them.
it's all going around there, that way. I see. That's pretty slick. Rotates, okay, good. And then,
You want to try world now?
yeah, let's try world. That would be the coordinate key again,
Coordinate
right?
key again.
Okay, there's world.
Okay, now if you look at defaulted back to 10% again.
It did.
So we'll go back up to 50.
Back up to 50.
There, a little shortcut.
Okay, good.
So you're ready to jog inward. Now before you do, how do you think it's going to act? Like if I had you do a Y positive, where do you think based on the right
Well, let's see, based on that, right, it should go that way.
Exactly.
Shouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's what it's doing. You see how it's doing a linear
It's doing
path?
it in a straight line.
Straight line. If you watch that, it's following a linear path, straight that way.
That's right. I guess, you know, it's, at 50%, it's moving slower than it was in joint. What would that be? Because maybe there's more than one joint having to move at a time?
Yeah,
Something like
it
that?
comes down to the processor.
Really? That's pretty cool. So there's the X, goes that way. Okay. Wow.
I think you've got it.
Excellent. I see how this works well.
And if you
Very
want to do
good.
your minor axes and see how they
Yeah.
act, remember we talked about the minor?
That's right. Oh, look at that. It looks like it's rotating around a point up
It
there.
is. If there was a point right there, if you don't look at the laser so much, but look at
Yeah.
the gripper. And if you were to follow that in your minor axis, you can see that it will rotate about the different axes.
Sure enough.
So you must be doing a Y there.
Look at that. And then there's that. Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, if you feel comfortable with it, I feel comfortable, and I thank you for being my student today.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right.